Continuing with Edexcel's higher tier paper 2 from 2020, this is question 7, and it's a question involving Pythagoras and also area of a circle. So what we're asked to do ultimately is work out the area of the quarter circle here, and we're also given that we've got this right angled triangle and we're given 2 of the sides of it. Got to give our answer ultimately to 3 significant figures. So the first thing we would need to do is find this distance here, CB. So if I call that X, that's the first thing we'd need to do, because then that's the radius of the circle or the quarter circle that we've got there. So we're going to use Pythagoras for that first bit. So if I just redraw it here. So here's our triangle, and that's 9 and that's 6, right angle triangle, X. So Pythagoras tells me that h squared equals a squared plus b squared, and that's where h is the hypotenuse. However, if we're not looking for the hypotenuse, we don't actually add, because we've got to do a rearrangement of this. So we could say that if we were looking for a side that wasn't the hypotenuse, then it squared would be h squared minus the other side. And we can see that the one we're looking for here isn't actually the hypotenuse. So we can just substitute that into this equation. So we can say that x squared is actually the hypotenuse squared, 9, take away the other side, which is 6 squared. And if we work those out, we can say, could use a calculator for this, but this is 81 take away 6 squared, which is 36. So if I just move the board up a little, so we've got x squared is equal to 81 take away 36 is 45. Now we could find the square root of 45, because from there we could say that x is equal to root 45 and work that out, get an answer for it. But that would actually introduce some errors into our question, and we'll find out later that it's actually nice to keep it into root form there. So now I'm going to look at the circle. So we can see we've got this quarter circle there, and in order to work that out, we're going to need to use the equation for the area of a circle. So I'm just going to make a bit of space now. We've found out what x was, x being root 45. So x is root 45, and we know that the area of a circle is pi r squared. So in fact, we also can say, well, the area of a quarter circle then is going to be a quarter times pi r squared. And in our case, actually, r is the same as x. So our value for r is root 45. So for our quarter circle, we've got it's a quarter times by pi times by root 45 squared. Now this is why it's great that we've left it in this format as an actual root, because if we square root 45, the square and the root cancel each other out. So actually that gives us a quarter times pi times 45. So we've got rid of any roots, and we've not had to write down any decimals or anything yet. So I'm going to work that out on the calculator. So what we've got is 1 quarter. Now we could just divide by 4, which is the same as a timesing by quarter. I'm going to do it this way, times by pi. So I'm going to use the this is the button at the bottom there. We can see if we go shift and then press this, I'll get the pi symbol, and then times by 45, and we'll get an answer in terms of pi, but we've got to give our answer, it says in 3 significant figures, so it actually wants the decimal value of it. So there it is, if I press the SD button, it flips between in terms of pi to the actual decimal. And so we've got 35.3429 carrying on there, but we want it to 3 significant figures. So I'm just going to write down a few of those figures. 35.3429. And we want it to 3 significant figures. So that means counting from the first figure that's not 0. So counting from this one here. And we can see that then that would make this one the 3, the third significant figure. So we're cutting it off there. And we have to look at the next figure along. And because that is a 4, which is less than 5, then we just keep the 3, the third significant figure, as it is. So our answer will be 35.3. And this is, we need to use the correct units. So I'm going to look at what it was measured in. So this is meters. So that means my answer will be 35.3 meters squared because it's an area. And that's it. We've completed the question. So I hope that's been helpful to you. And if it has, please consider subscribing to our channel and also giving the video a thumbs up. Thanks for watching.